Hey everyone, and welcome to SkillCapped. My name is Dr. Zora, and today we'll be breaking down how you can utilize Deathmatch to maximize your practice and improve your aim quickly. Deathmatch is a fast-paced free-for-all game mode that allows you to engage enemies in rapid succession. With such a game mode, you can improve your gameplay fast, but only if you use Deathmatch the right way. Many players tend to play Deathmatch without any sort of specific practice or goal in mind. They run all over the map aimlessly and without any objective in mind, and this makes it difficult for a player to make any drastic improvement. This is okay if you just want to warm up, but if you actually want to improve, you're going to need to do more. Without an objective in mind, it's also hard for you as a player to notice if you're getting better or not, and this can hurt you mentally as well. We're going to review the best drills that you should be doing in this game mode to ensure you become the best Valorant player you can in the shortest time possible. But before we get into the video, if you're serious about improving, then go to SkillCapped.com to unlock our hyper improvement system that will teach you how to win more gunfights, master your agent, and so much more. Come join over 500,000 satisfied members of SkillCapped, improve that KDA, and get the rank you've always wanted at SkillCapped.com, link in the description below. With that being said, let's jump right into the video. Before we get into the specific drills, let's talk about your deathmatch routine. A question you may be wondering is how long and how often I should do these drills. We recommend hopping into 4 to 5 deathmatch games before you go into competitive or unrated. This should take approximately 30 minutes and should be performed daily. Each day, select one of the drills that we provide you and solely focus on that drill. It's better to grind out one aspect of aiming at a time rather than trying to jump around between the different drills. If you do different drills at once, you end up with minimal time practicing each aspect of your aim, and you also have less of a focus during your training. Just like in normal sports, you want to practice one thing at a time, so make sure you really select one drill to perform each day, and if you feel like you need more practice on that particular area, you may even want to perform just that drill for multiple days and get comfortable with that first before progressing to another drill. First up, one of the most important aspects of aiming to get down is crosshair placement. Without crosshair placement, you won't be able to get those satisfying headshots and kill your enemies quickly. You should have your crosshair at head level at all times to ensure you have the best chance of getting that headshot. Most players get this point, but an even more important area of crosshair placement is making sure that you're hugging the walls next to the area where you believe an enemy will show up. This ensures that you're as close to your target as possible when you're about to make your peeks, and by doing this, there's less effort or need for you to flick your crosshair to enemies. This aspect is particularly important. The best players in Valorant appear to aim effortlessly because when they do aim, they've done this prep work and crosshair placement so that once they peek or an enemy shows up, they're already immediately at their crosshair and they can get wiped out right away. To practice this in Deathmatch, we recommend taking out the Vandal and shooting in bursts of 3 bullets at a time against every enemy that you face. With appropriate crosshair placement, this should be sufficient to kill your enemies. Now this is likely going to be very difficult at first as well as frustrating. You may whiff those 3 bullets multiple times and think to yourself that you may have still had a chance to kill him had you fully sprayed. But that's not the goal of this drill. This drill is to work on that crosshair placement and ensure that it is well placed so that those first 3 bullets do hit and you kill your enemies in less time. Make sure to monitor your progress and adjust your crosshair placement if need be. For example, if you're consistently missing those first 3 bullets, take an extra second to line up your crosshair onto the enemy before firing those shots. This is going to be slower of course, but it allows you to gradually get the hang of what crosshair placement is all about, and as you get better and better, you'll be able to put your crosshair where it needs to be with minimal effort. Going right along with crosshair placement, another aspect you can practice in Deathmatch is your first shot accuracy. This is essentially an advanced version of the crosshair placement drill, but now we're going to grab the Vandal and only hit single bullet tap shots. The goal here is to really go for quality over quantity. A common mistake with players that do this drill is they'll instantly flick and try to hit a one-tap kill as quickly as they can. When practicing this for the first time, we recommend again taking it slow and spending that extra few milliseconds to make sure your crosshair is fully lined up with your target before firing that first bullet. Practicing in this manner ensures that you're aiming properly and again helps to emphasize quality shots versus quantity. The less bullets it takes to kill someone, the faster you'll be able to transition to the next enemy and the less damage you'll take in your engagements. As you get better and better at this drill, you'll eventually be able to instinctively line up your crosshair where it needs to be and land those deadly headshot taps without even thinking about it. This drill is also particularly useful for long range engagements that you'll get into, especially on big maps such as Ascent and Icebox. At those long ranges, tap firing can be the better method of shooting that gives you the highest accuracy about a messy spray. By practicing your one taps, you'll quickly find yourself getting kills much quicker and much more effectively than previously. Like the first drill, this is going to be difficult, and that's why you're doing it though. You're going to miss a lot of your single fire shots initially, but by practicing it, you'll get better and better and find that you can eventually even win your deathmatch games alone with single firing. Next up, we're going to go over a drill that you can do to practice strafe shooting. If you aren't familiar with what strafe shooting is, make sure to check out our other video that goes into this technique in detail. To put it in layman terms, strafe shooting is when you are moving sideways one direction, and when you're ready to fire at an enemy, you immediately press the opposite direction key to stop your momentum, and this allows you to fire accurate shots while you're on the move. This is one of the most essential skills to master in Valorant, as it allows you to quickly peek an area and fire shots with pinpoint accuracy, and then immediately back away into safety to decrease the chances of you getting shot yourself. To practice this in deathmatch, focus on playing the corners, and when you see an enemy, perform a shoulder peek and fire a couple of bullets before backing away to safety. Repeat this until you finish off the enemy, and try to set up situations where you have to do this when engaging players in deathmatch. Practicing strafe shooting in deathmatch is very effective, as you get much more quantity versus the minimal amount of practice that you would get in a prolonged period when playing in a real competitive match. This next drill is one that players rarely practice in deathmatch, and is probably one of the most important drills to enhance your aim, and that is to play as if you are holding a certain area of the map. Like we mentioned in the beginning of this video, most players in deathmatch tend to run around aimlessly trying to get into as many duels as possible. The idea is to try to fight as much as possible, but what usually ends up happening when you hold W and run around the map the whole time is that there's many times where you'll either get flanked from behind or will just get caught off by a surprise angle. These scenarios don't really replicate what a real in-game situation looks like, and they take time away from engagements that are more representative of competitive. When playing competitive, especially on the defender side, you're more likely to be playing an angle and holding it. On attacker side, unless you're going for a final push to a site, you're going to be peeking angles one by one or holding an angle during a post plant. There is a brief period in rounds where you may be exploding onto a site, but most of the time, the angle holds and peaks are what you're going to be doing. So it makes sense to play that same way in deathmatch rather than running around trying to hit flick shots that are extremely difficult to do and mostly unnecessary for competitive. Once you spawn, find a common choke point that you would hold and then practice defending it. For example, in this clip, I spawned at U-Haul, so I stayed in that position the entire round as if I was defending it on either attacker or defender side. You'll notice that I'm constantly switching between A short, outside showers, and into U-Haul itself, just as I would in competitive depending on the information that I have available to me. While this method isn't perfect, it's the best way of mimicking real scenarios and situations that you would experience in unrated or competitive games. The closer we get to an actual match, the better our practice in deathmatch will translate to those matches. This helps us avoid becoming what some would say a deathmatch warrior, where someone's aim appears really good in the game mode, but since the way they're aiming in deathmatch doesn't match a real game, those skills don't end up translating at all and they still end up getting destroyed. Moving on, it's important that we practice spray control in Valorant. While we prefer our first few bullets to hit our target, there's plenty of times where this isn't the case. We may be a few degrees off and have to adjust our spray accordingly. When these situations present themselves, it's important we know how to control the spray pattern to ensure that we still get a headshot and don't end up taking too long to kill our enemies. Go into deathmatch and give yourself a bullet limit for each enemy you face. Spray no more than about 10 bullets at each player, and if you miss those shots, stop the spray and reset the recoil before firing again. By practicing to get these first 10 bullets to land, we're again reinforcing quality shots before quantity. Especially with these first 10 bullets, the recoil is fairly straightforward on the rifles, where you simply have to aim downwards. So these bullets are much easier to control as well, and are the most important part of the spray to learn if you really want to improve your aim. So next time you go into deathmatch, have the goal of killing each enemy within 10 bullets, and if you miss, reset your recoil and try again until you can get this consistently down with each player you face. If you are able to accomplish this, you'll instantly notice a difference in your aim duels and will have much more success killing any enemies that stand in your way. Lastly, and probably the most underlooked aspect of aiming, is utilizing sound. In Valorant, information is crucial, and being able to listen to sound and successfully identify where players are coming from allows you to better set up your aim to kill them off more efficiently. There are many players that tend to listen to music or mute the in-game audio when playing deathmatch, which takes away the crucial aspect of listening to sound and using that information to position yourself to have the highest chance of killing a player. If you compare your deathmatch scores when using sound and compare that to your scores when not using sound, you'll likely notice a huge difference in your performance and scores. You won't get flanked as often, but you'll also know where enemies are going to appear and you'll be more prepared to deal with them. Sound is an easy area to overlook, but we highly recommend players practice using it to give them a better chance of killing their enemies. In deathmatch, try to walk as often as you can and really focus on listening to footsteps and gunfire. If you hear footsteps, you can then predict when an enemy will appear and be well set up. With this preparation, you will have a very high chance of getting the kill. Do this consistently throughout multiple deathmatch games to really get used to identifying where sounds are coming from, as well as what sort of sounds you need to pay attention to during a match to gather the most amount of information possible to help you out-aim your opponents. Alright, so which aspect of your aim do you need to practice in deathmatch right now? Let us know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get more premium guides just like this one with one goal in mind, helping you become a better player. We here at SkillCapped want to thank you for watching. We'll catch you in the next. I'm Dr. Zora, and good luck out there.